Thank you. So good evening, everybody. On behalf of the Mental Health Webinar Series core team and the organizer, the Department of Psychology, the American College, Madurai, and the associating partners, Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, MS Chellamutu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation, Madurai, Red Pond Educational and Psychological Research Center, Madurai, Yellow Pond Counseling Center, Madurai, and Psycho-Oncological Association, Turkey. We welcome you all, the participants and the resource person of today, to the session 374 on pollution and mental health. And today we have Dr. Saravanan Rangaraj with us, and he has already been with us for a session on sensors and well-being. So he is currently working as a research officer at the University of Bangor, and he has graduated his PhD from National University of Galway in Ireland, and he has worked in different countries like Canada, France, Ireland, England, and now in Wales. So he's a microbiologist turned electrochemist. And today he's with us to share his thoughts on how pollution is influencing mental health of people. Thank you very much for being here. And now the session is over to you. Thank you.
Ammai. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good evening to everyone. I'm Saravanan Rangaraj, working in Environmental Centre Wales, and this is my second presentation here with the webinar rental series. I have given a few topics before on sensor and mental health, how this is affecting the pollution, and then relating to the human health. So today I'm going to talk about the pollution and mental health and how this is going to affect the in overall as a it's going to be a global problem. So if you see there's three kind of pollution, the mainly soil pollution, there's chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and pathogens. And pesticides due to agrochemicals and pathogens due to livestock. The second most important pollution is water pollution, which is due to the nitrate leaching from agriculture practices, antibiotics, vaccines, and also growth promoters, and also industrial pollution. And the third one is the air pollution, which is more important, major cause for the climate change, contributes to climate change. And two gases like methane and nitrous oxide is the most commonly causing the air pollution. So overall, it affects the human health and also environmental effects and also economic effects as well. I want to make this session more interactive, and I would like to invite participants to just get involved, just to explain what could be the cause of environmental pollution on human health. It can be more bilingual. You're more welcome to speak in Tamil as well, if you wish. I would like to participants to participate as an interactive session now.
Can the participants kindly unmute your mics and interact, or put your thoughts in the chat box so that the resource person can see that? So the question is, what could be the causes of environmental pollution or the other pollution?
Yeah, that is going to affect the human health. Any participant?
I think increase. Hello, good evening. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
I think increase in population leading to, taking up the resources at a far more greater level than replenishing them, be it the fertility of the soil or the water cycle or the water table, I think is one of the major reasons at least in India, um for this pollution and climate change, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Sabnam. That's really very useful. Any other participants?
Some responses in the chat box,
Yeah,
and they have quoted industries and vehicles or important source of pollution.
yeah. Do you think like how it affects the human health or mental health? Is there any idea or anyone wants to share their thoughts?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, the noise from the machineries or the vehicles, and as well as the smoke, say carbon monoxide gases, even for inhalation, it causes health hazards as well as causes by the noise. Also, we get some headaches, and it is so annoying, and it leads to a sort of stress as the days proceed on.
Oh, that's really good. Do you think how that will influence the human health?
Responses in the chat box. They
Yeah.
say that burning fuel, deforestation, and mining operations, reckless use of natural resources also contribute to population affecting human health.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So in terms of what people thought, what people's view, it looks like pollution affects the environment. But here I'm going to talk about how the pollution is going to affect the mental health of the people. As people know, pollution, like all the climate change, affects the human health. It causes the disease, it triggers the cancer and all the health ailments, like all the smoke and all those things. It triggers the respiratory health problems. But today I'm going to talk about more about how this pollution is going to affect the mental health in human beings and children and adolescents. Say climate change in total has different consequences. In terms of direct consequences, it's a natural disasters, such as example heat, as a global warming, as it's the global warming is a major disaster of the direct consequences of the climate change, which is hard to prevent at the moment. And every year there's an increase in the temperature in most of the countries, and we have unusual rain, acid rains, uh, disasters like cyclones and storms and all those things. But in terms of indirect consequences, as someone said, is a food insecurity due to the land pollution. You cannot replenish all the natural resources is being eroded as due to the pollution, which causes one of the major causes the intense farming that triggers everything. So land loss is the most of the problem we are facing. Like all the minerals are being lost, and also people migrate. It has indirect consequences, climate change, with loss of jobs and a lot of things. We don't have proper facility to use as a human resources, and people migrate. And also air pollution, which is a major cause, and also the green. It affects the green revolution. That's one more thing. As a physical health, as you know, there's more pandemic now as a viral infection. So we have the COVID-19. That's physical health is getting polluted by the environment. Also, there's a cerebral manifestation and inflammation in brain that could be also a problem with the health issues. In terms of awareness, that's more related to our topic now is anxiety and frustrations and anger and hopelessness. So this is one of the new topic which has been scientifically proven that it affects the mental health um, of the people globally. So this is one of the most of the like almost a decade people start to look into mental health and the climate change, and the shocking report on how it's going to affect the mental health of people is it's more predominant now, and there are a lot of scientific evidence. So it's more important to change and stop the climate change. It's not in our hand. So we have to change ourselves to stop the climate change and not the climate. That's the key thing we have to think in our mind. So the pollution matters. So as I said before, pollution not only affects the human health, it also affects the mental health as well. So for example, as you know, pollution affects heart, lung, and also reduces the function. It also affects the birth rate of the people. But now, recently, there's a scientific evidence that shows that the pollution also affects the brain, influence the brain as well. So it triggers the Alzheimer's, it triggers the depression, and also learning disabilities among the children is also major cause. And also the obesity and the birth defects also is also a problem now recently, and also diabetic in very young children related to the pollution. So in terms of mental health and well-being, there's more direct relationship to the climate change, and your health is being affected. And the topic today is how the mental health is going to be restored, and how the mental health will be affected by such direct influence of the pollution is being the key topic today. So once the climate change, how the climate change directly affects the human health. It threats the damage. Climate causes the anxiety and depression in many people, especially in children and old people and low-income Americans. Is predominant now. So in terms of a lot of NGOs, they're doing more research on how the mental health is being affected, and also they're now looking into more of how the pollution is being directly influenced by for the mental health. And I can show you the University of Chicago. Recently, they found the link between the environmental pollution and then neuropsychotic disorders. So, which is more shocking, that how the pollution is also affecting the brain as well. Mostly, it's air pollution. So once you inhale all the polluted air that goes into brain, and that gets inflammation. So this inflammation so 27% of the countries has the more when the countries have more than 27% of the pollution, it creates the bipolar disorder, and also it creates a major depression among the people. So this is one evidence that the air pollution is linked with the mental disorders. So as you see, the bipolar disorder is more of there's a huge variations in mood depression, like as people not like, they won't behave very normal in such environment. So this is one example in people living in a highly polluted environment. This will have this kind of bipolar disorder. I don't know whether many of you heard about the bipolar disorder or more depression. You have any experience with that? So I would like to invite participants to discuss about it.
So this is a very alarming thing that you've just mentioned, because one has never come across studying a psychiatric disorder that air pollution is one of the causes. So this is actually new for me. And I think your slide, just because I'm watching this on a tab, I'm not able to see the University of Chicago. Is this a study by the university there?
Yeah, it's the study reported recently. They had like around 115 million people. I think there's some disturbance with some participants. Can you please mute? Yeah, okay, thank you. So as far as my detailed search, around 150 million people, they have had the survey and looking into how the environmental pollution is being triggering the psychotic disorders, and this has been proven. If you want, I can send you more in detail after the presentation. So this is confirmed that the environmental pollution is also a major cause for the neuropsychotic disorder, and also not only problem for the human health, it's also from financially and social terms. So in case these people, they need medication, like they need to go to doctor to get the treatment. This is expensive for the people. So once this disease prolonged, when the disorder prolonged, they can't be normal, they can't be very social, and they need to have kind of a medication for long term, so which is expensive. So even some of our participants, they're into the well-being center, and some being treated with the mood disorder functions and getting medications. I'm not sure how many people are in the team, but it's very shocking that air pollution. Among the pollution, air pollution is going to be huge. As we know, it affects the lungs, and also it triggers a respiratory problem. But now it also affects the human brain. It causes the inflammation. So that's the research people state, and there's a lot of links and almost 2 decades of the studies being published now, which is very shocking, as you said. Do you have any other experiences with the pollution and mental health? I'm happy to, like, even if you want to talk in Tamil, like, even if you want to, you're more welcome. Bilingual, it's not a problem.
Well,
Participants?
population, increase in population, lack of spaces, noise, and changes in the climate in terms of lack of sunlight leading to mental illness was something actually I heard, but I'm still trying to absorb this connect between air pollution and mental disorder, such as so specific with as in bipolar and depression. So in, definitely, I mean, in a way, if you see as a mother, if because I think most of the children here in India, because of pollution, they have this wheezing and airways disease, or they are on the on the borderline of being an asthmatic later in life, and it's a very common thing that leads to, yes, definitely, that leads to, because the capacity of the lung in younger children is less, so that leads to a lot of mental agony for parents, and leading this into depression or a bipolar. I mean, I'm specifically talking about bipolar because that includes mania and depression. I mean, there are two sides to it. This is pretty alarming, and I'm still able to. I would read up more. I mean, this is really interesting. Thank you for giving us this.
Yeah, I think it's most of the recent studies has been conducted in UK and US. As an Asian country like India and China, which is more polluted countries, might also have the problem with the kids in future. Definitely, this is, as you said, this is more alarming. It's going to be a huge problem, as you said. It's not only going to affect the problem with the kind of respiratory asthma. It also directly people inhale through the nose, and it gets into the brain as well. So the brain is getting inflamed. So once the brain is inflamed, it triggers every problem. So as a bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, and also mental disorders. So this could be challenging for all our community to tackle, and also mostly, as I said, as I did a few search, it's going to affect the younger generation, like the kids and the teenagers. So that's going to be a huge problem for with the air pollution. I'm not sure about the water pollution and land pollution. Still, it's going to affect the health of the people. As a mental disorders, which has a direct link, the air pollution has a huge role in it, and we need to fix it at some point.
So, I mean, if you could just shed some more light on this, is it because does it become a auxiliary problem in terms of, if we understand it this way, that inflammation leads to a lot of conditions in the body, such as arthritis, for example, and that leads to or chronic asthmatic conditions that leads to depression. Is it an urgent that the study is talking about, that due to air pollution we have these so many physical disorders, illnesses, and that leads to mental disturbance?
Yeah,
Or
I think.
it is prime?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not very. As I just said, that it's a really astonishing fact to understand and observe that air pollution is leading to bipolar disorder. I mean, seriously, I
Yeah, I
mean,
think.
being in psychology for so long, I have not come across this, and I'm rather really shocked. And this is pretty. It's a very alarming statement, sir.
Yeah, I can send you a few The British Medical Journal published few scientific articles recently that what happens, how the air pollution is directly linked to the human health. I think there's if in terms of scientific, it's very hard to say until unless it's been proven. But I said there's sort of papers published almost a decade for the British Medical Journal that states that the air pollution definitely triggers all the main mental disorders like bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, and all the mental instabilities. So that's a major cause. And I can send you a few links if you want after the session. And this is really alarming. So as I said, in terms of physical environment and particularly air quality is more important. So that's more people are shouting, like raising questions like how well is your air quality? It's going to be for future. And definitely air pollution is going to be problematic for everyone. In case of Delhi, what happens every year when the farmers burn all the residues, all the agriculture residues, it affects the Delhi. You know, like Delhi is one of the more populated, also polluted in the world, next to Shanghai. And imagine, like, people who's living in Delhi, they're facing a huge problem as the asthmatic and all the respiratory illness, and that's due to all the pollution that's linked to people, farmers in the Punjab, and they burn all those things, and it travels to the Delhi and it's getting polluted there. So imagine the pollution created at one part of the world is going to affect the rest of the world. So that's what's happening. So such environmental pollution is going to be a burden for everyone, and really it's shocking for me as well to see how the air pollution is linking to the mental disorders. And even I was shocked to do a bit of literature review on all those things, because I'm into more of agriculture research, and we are developing sensors for agriculture, and we are looking how the agriculture pollution is being more affected. So I came across such mental disorders. So I volunteered this session to give a talk just to explain things, how the air pollution is linked to a mental disorder. Children, as you said, like as you raise the problem, since children are playing at the atmosphere, like the huge polluted environment, and it's going to affect the kids' mentality as well. So this one example, as I said before, British Medical Journal, they surveyed almost like 500,000 people, and this is published in BMJ, which is one of the highest impact factor journal in UK and rest of the world. They took the 500,000 people as a survey samples, and recorded all the examined what happened. They linked the air pollution and the mental illness, and all these people are being given as treatments. They're given sedatives to antipsychotics. So this is shocking. So as evidence, as I said, like you can see the scientific evidence that the air pollution is being affected by affects the mental or mental issues with the kids and all the people below 18. So which is not good. So one good example, like what happened, is the nitrogen dioxide. So this is the poisonous gas emits from the vehicles. This is more of N2O and nitrous oxide comes from the vehicle pollution. So in terms, if it goes more than 40 mg per meter cube, there's one example, live example, like it reaches high. In case cities like London, it has like 40 microgram per meter cube. This is high in terms of highly polluted cities. So people get affected. So mental illness with children will be predominant in such areas. So they have recently shown that almost 9 to 10% of the cases have been linked to the mental illness of the children with the increased nitrogen dioxide, which is mostly due to the pollution. As I said, there's a huge population increase. People are using vehicles, and we don't have a control of emission check, because I don't know, in UK we have a perfect emission check. So each vehicle, every vehicle has to go a very strict emission control every year. And if the vehicle doesn't pass the emission check, you can't drive on the roads. So in India, checks, we have more two-wheelers than cars. And who is going to control such kind of pollution happening in India? There's nobody to check. And this is going to be a major problem. We don't have a proper check. Once you buy a new vehicle, and that's it. You can drive the road, drive until the vehicle gets spoiled. But here it's not the case. Even if you buy a new car, you can have drive for 3 years, and after 3 years, you have to do it's a check for every year that your vehicle passes all the conditions. It has to be properly maintained, less emission, and everything on condition. So that's one good example. Like, except few cities like London and Manchester, Birmingham, and few other mostly popular cities like Shanghai, rest of the other places air pollution. But in terms of India and China, I have a few friends in China. They tell me, like, there's a huge pollution. They can't even see. The visibility is low, and so in the peak open hours. So this is everything related to the air pollution. So this is more alarming, and this is one particular who recommends, like, the NO2 has to be very, very low in such polluted countries. But it's very hard to see and very hard to control because, as I said, the population is uncontrollable. So we have money now. So what happens? You can't do anything with money. But only thing is that if you want to check something, you have to control the air pollution. But it's not going to be scientific. It has to be more of a people like us. It has to be get embedded in ourselves, and we have to be more responsible and more responsible for society in terms of reducing the pollution. So we can't blame anyone. We can't blame the government. If you want to have a change, we have to fix ourselves. It has to be embedded within ourselves first, and then we have to think about the society. So we can't eat money. With money, we cannot do anything. So science, you cannot do anything. The basic thing, it starts from where the problem comes from. So society has to how we can fix the problem, and also in terms of a political system, how we are going to get the clean environment for people to live. So as I said, the air pollution, as someone said, it's uncontrollable. It's not only the pollution. It has to government policies has to be more strict. That has everything. In China, you can't have more than one vehicle in a home. If you register for a vehicle, you have to wait for 3 to 4 years to get a vehicle. So this is the challenge people are going to face it. So even though it's hard in such systems, it's very hard to control the air pollution. But there needs to be a solution, or else everyone will get affected, and it's not only going to spoil your health, and also going to spoil your mental health as well. So as I said, if you see the population from 1950 to 2050, there will be almost 10 billion people in struggling hard to get the food, to get a clean air, and to have a nice environment. So what happens, as I said, agriculture is the major pollution industry that will influence all the human health. So you need a high yielding crops, fertilizers, pesticides, and all indoor farmings. So what happens? All this triggers land pollution and also air pollution, and also global warming. So intense farming will be more of in next 20-30 years. Imagine, like, the world needs to feed everyone. Imagine in a country like 1.5 billion people in India, everyone gets a food, and where the food comes from is from agriculture. So once I feel that agriculture practice is getting more intense and we are polluting it more. It's like using more fertilizers. You're washing away all the chemicals into the water stream. And most major thing is that it's shocking to know that agriculture produces more N2O. Can you believe that? So now poisonous gas, which causes the global warming. So 74% of these gases come from agriculture, not only from the industries, not only from the transport vehicles, not only from the power plants, coals, but agriculture is also going to be a major source for pollution. Imagine, like, you're growing cattle, you're eating more meat, and all the meat generates more of nitrous oxide emissions from the field, and that's going to increase the global warming to the greenhouse gases. So this is one of the problem where we need to fix it and restore more the ground and river water, and also soil, and also the air pollution.
Sir, please, if you could, sorry to interrupt, sir. If you could just delve a little more deeply into this.
Which one? Agriculture. Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
I think Shabnam has a problem with her connection. Maybe
Yeah,
she'll
what
get back to you. I
question?
think you can.
I think you can continue with your presentation, Dr. Saravanan.
Okay. Probably I can explain her at the end of the session if you
Yes,
want.
yes. We have the question and answer sessions. Probably the participants can ask their queries while we facilitate the question and answer session. You please continue with your
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah, okay. So as I said, the pollution, N2O pollution, comes from the agriculture. That's more important, and this is hidden truth. So this is by the source, the scientific article published in 2017 that states that the agriculture field looks green, but it's not green, as I said before in the presentation. It's a huge pollution coming from the agriculture, and it's air pollution as well by burning, and also all the poisonous gases like methane, nitrous oxide, which emits from the field, the green field that goes into the environment, is also going to affect the global problem. As I said, in terms, if you want to have a natural space, you can have all these kind of things. So in terms, in terms of adult, if you have a clean environment, stress reduction will be most important. So you can improve the life expectancy, the better general mental health and physical health, and you can have improved cognitive performances, and most important thing, sleep. So if you don't have sleep, well, it's more related to pollution. So all the polluted cities, people are facing improper sleep. So if you don't have proper sleep, and it has a huge influence on your health, and then affects the mental health as well. If you don't have proper sleep, you can't have a routine life. It's more stressful. So that's more what I think is that the pollution is also affecting the mental health of people. And also, there's a lot of recent study says a lot of risk of cancers, like lung cancers is more predominant with the polluted cities, which need huge major challenge to tackle such kind of problems in environment. In terms of children, it's more important. So I think a lot of the parents are attending the session. In terms of it's very important to look how we are going to protect the children. That's more important, because the study says the air pollution affects the kids, like the younger generation, more than the adult. So it's very important for us to see how well we can protect the pollution and how well we can prevent it. Say, as I said, you can have a mask when they play out. It's very hard, but if you see it's more polluted, better try to prevent the children to not to play, or like protect them. That's more important. So show them a clean area, like isolate them and show the clean environment for them to play and get along with people. So what happens if you don't improve such things, the attention capacity will be degrading for them. So they can't have a proper attention. So once if you have such kind of pollution, so they can't concentrate more. So they'll be having emotional and they don't have a proper behavior. So you can't, the people, as you say, it's getting more stressed. He or she cannot get involved in more of social life. So mingling with people will be more of a more of challenge, more of difficult for this kind of people. So they can't properly coordinate and they don't have proper balance. So once you can prevent, if you prevent such pollution, You can have improve self-confidence, self-discipline, and also increases the social skills. And also, most important, the new bonds are being affected by air pollution. So that's more scientifically proven as well. So the pregnant ladies and all the other like young kids, the newborns are being affected by such pollution. So it's more important to fix before we think in terms of other pollutions. Well, as I said, pollution is pollution. It affects everyone. It affects the world, affects the community, and affects the living being as well. It affects everything. But in terms of air pollution, it's more related, directly related, because once you need fresh air to breathe in. So that's the basis of the life. So if you don't have proper air, you can't even live. So if you don't have water, you can live for 7 days. If you don't have food, you can live for like 20, 25 days. But if you don't have a proper uh, oxygen, you die in. So you can't live like 15, 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It's very hard to survive. It's very important. So the air is very, very important for any resource, any living being to have it's a right, it's a human right, or it's a right to everyone to have a clean environment and clean air. So if you don't have proper air, it's going to affect things. And with this session, I'm insisting that, and even shocking for me, that air pollution is going to directly affect the mental health of everyone, and we need to fix it. I know that a lot of psychologists and people will be looking into it, which is alarming, and probably this session is open to discuss. I'm happy to explain any suggestions or any discussion if you want. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarunan, for that excellent presentation and so many facts you have put in this session, which is very much educative. And also, I'm sure a few participants said that it is alarming statistics. And
Yeah.
definitely, we all need to work together before it's too late, before we wake up. Thank you. It again, you have like given us a very important topic. So the next time too, we were delighted to have you in our session. And participants, the floor is open for question and answers. You have any questions or any queries, you could either put in the chat box or you could unmute yourselves and ask the resource person.
Yeah, I welcome more people to participate. Language is not a barrier. So if you want to நீங்க தமிழ்ல பேசலாம், like you're more welcome.
We have diverse group here, Dr. Saravana. So
Good evening, sir.
Meaning,
We are all in this journey to make this planet much more livable and much more
yes,
for the future
there
generations.
is a question from Shabna. Yes, Vijay Priya, ma'am, go ahead.
yeah, Vijay Priya. So Vijay Priya, I can't. Your volume is very low. Can you increase your volume, please?
Now, sir,
Yeah.
It's better now.
it's better now, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We are all in this journey to make this planet much more healthier for the future generations as well, sir. It's
Yeah.
very, we are all quite anxious about the present situation. Even after the post-COVID, also the people, I don't think much has changed among the awareness among the people, sir. They continue to be the same.
Yeah.
And I think this session was very, very informative. And as some of the participants said, it was very alarming to know that such mental health disorders to such a greater degree it exists. Some
Yeah.
small PowerPoints or something, some pointers can you give us to make these changes from us? You know, as humans, the changes starts from us, from the family, and then it just goes to the society, right, sir? So can you
Yeah.
give us
Yeah.
some tiny pointers, which we can apply for the day-to-day life? Thank you, sir.
I think your thought of awareness is more good, and as you said, it has to start from us first. So I can say people are more reckless, and they don't mind the society at all. to be mistake me in terms of what I'm speaking. I feel people are not more into looking into more environment. Say if you want to have our next generation live happily, I think we need to look into solution and problem now. So imagine like 2020, if you think about 2050, imagine what will be the pollution rate and how difficult to get a clean resource of water, um, clean air, and also the food produce is going to be more important. So as a researcher, what we are tackling now is we are looking to fix the problem with the agriculture. So we are trying to minimize the pollution from agriculture. So what I'm doing, it will definitely benefit for the society, and we are developing all the sensing technologies for it. Gives you a precision agriculture that gives you how well you can manage your agriculture, and definitely that's going to be in terms of scientific in future. uh, all the government is going to take agriculture into hand, and they're going to have some policies in terms of pollution, right? So it's hard if in terms of, if you see India and China, I can see I can compare with UK, India and China. People here, they are more social aware than people than India and China. uh, as I said, I'm not complaining. In India, pollution is a huge problem. In UK, pollution is not a problem, but still the social awareness has to be more important. For example, if you can walk to certain places, it's much better to walk than using your two-wheelers. If you can commute in a public transport, well and good. But now car and two-wheelers are becoming more social status than being traveling in a public transport. So if you can minimize your vehicle usage, if you minimize your waste disposal, if you can handle your number of frequencies you travel, you can avoid your unnecessary travel, and that will definitely save the import of fuel of any country. Imagine the gold and petrol is going to kill India in future. People are using more gold, so that tends the government to import more gold, and we are importing more petrol, fuel, crude oil. So in terms of two imports, India is being lagging behind like several decades. So if you can fix this problem, if you can minimize the problem, and definitely our GDP will grow high, and we can minimize such pollution and such problem. It has to start from us. So if you think about more awareness of how people can think in future, I think people should not be more selfish, like earning money, having a house, buying two cars. So other than that, there's the other life for us to look into it. So what we are going to give, what we are going to provide for our future generation, that's more important. So once if you don't fix the problem now, nobody's going to take control of it, and our next generation will be the sufferers, and it has to be more socio-economic problem. So it has to be more interlinked. I'm not sure whether I have answered your question or not, but it's just more of a, you're welcome if you want to say something.
Definitely, that was very insightful answer, Dr. Saravanan. True that we all should be responsible. It's not that one day or one change. I mean, it's not going to change overnight, but
Yeah,
every drop of ocean counts. So, if everyone is responsible and sensible, definitely we can have that change for future generations. Thank you so
yeah.
much. And there are a couple of questions. One question is from Shabnam to she wants to know like how the meat eating has impact on climate change. If I'm not wrong, that is the question. Shabnam, can you please elaborate on the question?
I got her question, but
Yeah.
I can explain. But still, I'm happy to hear from her.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah,
Actually, not very sure. Am I audible?
Yes, yes,
yeah, you're
Shabnam.
audible.
Thank you so much. It was really a very heartening, enlightening session, I would say, and to get a view about mental health from somebody, I mean, from a different field perspective, and people looking into the importance of it. It is very great, and I thank the organizers for inviting a speaker to talk on this. Yes, sir. I think you got my question. really want to know more on the connect between meat eating, how we need to be more vegan, so that we can protect our environment. And
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Sabnam.
not very sure, because when we talk about one way of looking at the world, I mean, I think meat eating has been with the human race ever since its inception. The early man was eating meat, and we have many religions and many festivals which talk about sacrifice of animals and meat eating in a feast and as an offering to God. So there are many there is in a cultural, societal, there are a lot of embeddedness with respect to eating meat. But of course there are sentiments of people, animal right activists, talking about it. I want to know the real connect between this and the climate change, apart from the other sentiments that people say and people talk about.
Yeah, I think the meat eating habit has increased a lot, and that also caused a huge pollution. I 100% agree to it. Why meat eating is a problem? Because if you, the more you raise animals, right? You grow, like you graze people, like what are maybe cattle in India, like what I see, people, the goat, like what I can say, the goat is more important when compared to the cow and the poultry. So poultry and the goat is being more produced and consumed. So what happens? You're increasing your carbon emission by like with the industries, like more of a non veg industries, like your the cattle's, you're growing like poultries and all those things. So your emission is getting more, like from the field aspect, like the agriculture, you have more greenhouse gas emissions from the field, so which is more alarming. So imagine if you want to have, in terms of India, have mixed people like vegetarian, non-vegetarian. But if you, I have read some articles that recently the non-veg people is getting like more increasing compared to the vegetarian. So in terms of being non-vegetarian, um, it's not good for environment. But I'm not telling like you should not eat meat. You can eat meat, but it can be to a certain extent, and you can minimize it. So once you minimize the meat eating, people start to less grow all these animals, and definitely that will less pollute the environment. So imagine if you want to kill the animals, if you want to get rid of all the fleshless, grow grow animals that gives more carbon emissions, as in terms of methane and nitrous oxide. So these are the two global warming gases we are developing when you grow such animals. So I think being vegetarian is no harm, but at the same time, if you want to become non-vegetarian, there's a bit certain kind of control you can consume, and that can reduce the burden to the environment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saravnan, for answering that question. And we have another.
Ma'am, may I intervene? Sorry, Veena ma'am.
Yes, Shabna.
Sir, I would just want you to elaborate on this connect, sir. How
Yeah,
is, if we are rearing more animals in a farm and they are eating more grass or fodder or whatever,
yeah,
how is it leading to more of carbon emissions? That's the
yeah,
connect that I want to know, sir.
yeah. There's two connection for rearing more animals. The one thing is that the urination of the cattle, right? Imagine if you're growing like 500 cows or sheep in a field, right? They urinate frequently, so it has a lot of uric acid, and that goes into the field, and that uric acid is like a fertilizer that turns all the biochemical process, that turns in all the urine goes into the soil. There's a lot of bacteria like microbes that produces more gases such as methane and nitrous oxide. So we are dealing with such systems. Methane and nitrous oxide is alarming, as it's going to be a big global warming threat from the field. And on the other side, the dung, cow dung or the goat dung, whatever may be. The dung goes into the in the field as well. So that's also going to produce more biogas in terms it's being emitted from the field. So, like people started like 10, 15 years before, even now people are using the biogas, they're taking all the cow dung and they can produce a biogas. Imagine such intensity of the energy of the cow dung or whatever may be, the energy source, the biogas emission, they have a huge potential to pollute the environment. And imagine you are just these cow dung waste is being washed away to the ground, washed away to the river. It's getting polluted, and that's where all the harmful gases emits from. It's not, as I said, the vehicles are not only the main cause of such pollution. Agriculture lands also a huge problematic in future. As I said, if you want to produce more, rear more animals, grow more food, you need more land. As it's getting shrunken, you are using more fertilizers, and the land is being more polluted. So that's also as an equivalent pollution from the urbanization. It's going to be a huge problem from the agriculture industry as well. So as I said, the urination and the fecal waste, the cow dung, is going to be a huge problem to tackle it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saravanan.
My
for
question to
answering
you,
that.
sir. My question to you. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're audible, sure, Kumar.
Yeah, sir. I wanted to just have clarity on, sir. Actually, farmyard manure is required, for our organic to get all the crops in organic form.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nowadays the farmers, they're using all chemical urea and potassium and all those things, chemical manures.
Yeah.
So if this dung is not available, then again the increase of this minerals also, it is a very haphazard in the agriculture issue, no, sir? So other side, whatever the produce we are getting, that is all chemical produce. So
Yeah.
that way man is also affected. Suppose if the cow dung and all organic manures, if that has been taken away, then again we'll land in the, this is what I feel, sir, but I may be wrong and you may be right. So I want clarity on this.
Yeah, Shivakavasha, you're right. So what we are tackling now is like the people want to more short term, like nobody is looking into long term. So no, in terms of how I see agriculture in UK and India is that we don't, even in UK, they don't have proper facility for farmers. So they don't, first thing, they don't test the soil, right? The farmers, they have a practice of throwing the fertilizers as a season. But in terms, the soil is having everything for you. If you don't, as I said, organic farming is the best resources. The soil has everything. If you turn over the soil properly, soil has everything to do. So only you need to add some top up. Even like the I think the corporate companies is pushing more of things now. They want to make it more money. The fertilizer industry, as I said, we have a lot of fertilizers industry, and they are the pollution for the carbon emissions. So imagine if you want to produce 1 kg of urea, it takes a lot of energy, consumes energy, produces carbon. As I said, in terms of farming, the farmers are being not well educated to manage their field, the first thing. So if you have a proper policies to help the farmers, you can minimize the pesticides, you can minimize the fertilizer, you can well handle the situation. But in terms, say for example, a proper growth term, but what farmer wants is, I want to produce within 3 or 4 months. So he wants to cut short 2 months. In such demands, the corporate companies comes in and said, we are giving you a high fertilizer, high mineral fertilizers, we have pesticides, we have all the fancy stuff to make it more faster. So the food is not healthy. You have more pesticides in vegetables, you have more less strength in nutrient in food, and also spoils the land. So once the land is being spoiled, you cannot retrieve it back. So soil is the basis of everything. If there's no proper soil, there's no proper produce. And it has to be awareness of the government. It's not I can't blame the farmers. They don't have anything. They don't have any. So it has to be a policy backed up system from a government, and not from the society or like farming people. Even like in one good thing, you can take farming in hand. You can do a small farming. Everybody can do a farming. You can teach children to do a farming, to grow their own fruits and own vegetables, and that can minimize the dependency of the agricultural system. So this is one good example. Everything is there in soil, and we're not dealing it properly.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Sharonan. Thank you so much for answering all the questions. I hope, Muthu sir, I think Dr. Sharonan has answered your query as well. So that's the end of the question and answers, I guess. So, if any other participants have any queries, you can go ahead with the question.
I have one point related towards organic farming. Being an agricultural graduate, I would like to share what I have learned. So, of all the things about whether it is organic or inorganic that we introduce into the soil, it is important for any farmer to understand the potential of their own soil first. Most of the cases, there are many kinds of farming, like wetland, dry land, garden farming, whatever. The soil depth will decide the amount of nutrients they possess. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if the farmer can really know what level of nutrients do their soil possess, it is easy for them to judge how much they have to. They don't have to blindly follow the nutrient requirement for that crop. So if that understanding will happen in the first place, I'm sure we can reduce a lot of inorganic inputs that we are going to put into the soil, and that will reduce the pollution of the soil and also the water underground. That farmers are really, really rich in their traditional wisdom, but due to a lot of bureaucracies, the companies, the industries, MNCs, the organic farming has been shifted to inorganic now, and it was all a trick they played, but now it's really hard to revert it back. So this kind of awareness has to happen with farmers and in farming. I'm sure a global revolution can happen in agriculture. This is my point I wanted to share, irrespective of what farming they do. Because whatever crop you cultivate in a year, you blindly follow the nutrient recommendation of that crop. That don't have to happen. Because I know one of the recent researches conducted by Dr. Saravanan, in his research, he found that his farm doesn't need any requirement of the nutrient to be added, but still in the experiment, nutrient fertilizers had been added by another team, which is not required. So after he found that it is not required, the next trial did not have the external application of the nutrients. So if that can be possible by Dr. Saravanan, it can be possible by anybody on earth. So this is one thing I wanted to tell about the awareness that has to be created in farmers. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree, Dr. Chandra, on your perspective. So as I said, in terms of we are looking into more scientific aspect. As I said, I'm happy to present all scientific facts in the mental webinar series, but I'm not a psychologist. I'm not anything. People like you, I think you people are more well aware of how human health and mental well-being is that. But here I'm here to just sharing my research experience on how that science level will help the society. That's what I'm looking into. So as I said, one good example is that with my system, the sensor system, what we have tested that showed the soil doesn't need anything. So that's one good example. If you imagine, if you prevent the fertilizer addition, your pollution is getting low. So your global greenhouse gases emission gets low in that particular field. You have several thousands of acres of land. So huge, if the huge farming field, if getting emitted, you see the intensity of the greenhouse gases emitting from the natural field, which is huge. So people are not looking into that aspect. People are looking into only industrialization, urbanization, all the more populated countries in terms of vehicle pollution. But as hidden story, the agricultural land is also a huge polluting resources for the environment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charavanan, and thanks, Dr. Chandra, for your inputs as well. And I'm sure this is one of the best sessions we ever had in this series. Definitely an eye opener and sort of very, very informative for all of us. Thank you so much. And I personally take this opportunity to place vote of thanks for today's speaker, Dr. Saravanan, on behalf of the Department of Psychology, American College, Madurai, and also Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, MS Chelamuthu Trust and Rehabilitation Center, Madurai, Psycho-Oncological Association, Turkey, as well as other associations. I place my sincere gratitude for Dr. Saranan for accepting our request and enlightening us with a great topic. Thank you so much, Dr. Saranan. And also thanks for all the participants who have been very support to us for this long period of journey. And we are we hope we continue this journey of knowledge sharing ahead with your support further. Thank you one and all, and we'll meet tomorrow with yet another wonderful session. Thank you. Good night. Bye bye.
Thank you, Dr. Veena. Thank you.
Thank you.